Hello, sports fans. Welcome to Super Sports Central. Today, we have my Week 10 college football rankings. So, going over last week's rankings and how those teams performed last week. So, 10 was USC. They beat Arizona at 45-37. 9 was Oklahoma State. They got destroyed by Kansas State, losing 48-0. 8 was Oregon. They easily beat Cal 42-24. 7 was TCU. They remained undefeated, beating West Virginia at 41-31. 6 was Alabama. They did not play. 5 was Michigan. They beat rival Michigan State 29-7. 4 was Clemson. They had a bye. 3 was Tennessee. They destroyed Kentucky, winning 44-6. 2 was Ohio State. They used a strong fourth quarter to beat Penn State 44-31. And 1 was Georgia, who defeated rival Florida, winning 42-20. So starting off this week's rankings at number 10. So I debated a few teams here. I'll explain those in a minute. But I'm going to go with UCLA. They're returning to my top 10 after losing to Oregon last week. They bounced back, beating Stanford convincingly, 38-13. And the other teams I considered were teams like Ole Miss, Illinois, and Kansas State. So Ole Miss had a really close win against a bad Texas A&M team, so I decided to keep them out. Kansas State had a dominant win, but they would just be jumping way too much and way too high. And Illinois, they would be my 11th team right now. So UCLA comes in at 10. 9 is USC. So they beat Arizona in a shootout. The offense was great once again. Caleb Williams threw for 411 yards and 5 touchdown passes. But the defense was once again concerning. They lost against Utah because the defense gave up 43 points. And now they gave up another 37 points and over 500 total yards to Arizona. And Arizona's got a decent offense, but it's not like USC's playing Ohio State or Tennessee, one of the best offenses in the country. So we all know USC's offense is good, but I still have concerns about their defense, but they come in at number 9. 8 is Oregon. They got off to a slow start against Cal, but ended up getting the convincing win. Bo Nix had another great game, accounting for 6 total touchdowns, 3 passing, 3 rushing. And Oregon has some tough games to close the season. They start their final 4 games with a game against a bad Colorado team, but then they're home against Utah and Washington before a trip to Oregon State. So that definitely will not be easy. 7 is TCU. They are one of 6 unbeaten teams in the country. You could probably argue them for ahead of Alabama, because TCU's unbeaten and have beaten pretty good teams like Kansas, Kansas State, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. Although Kansas and Oklahoma have fallen off the face of the earth. But I'm going to keep TCU at 7. And number 6 would be Alabama. So they've remained at 6. They didn't play, but there's no reason to move them up or down as they were on a bye. But they have 2 really tough games coming up. They start where they visit LSU, and then they go to Ole Miss. So neither of those games will be easy. But right now, Alabama comes in at 6, but that'll probably change if they either win or lose in the upcoming weeks. 5 is Michigan. They did not have the greatest win over Michigan State. They were only up 19-7 heading into the fourth quarter, but they ended up getting the win. They played their style of football. They ran the ball, and they played great defense, and that is what they did en route to victory against Michigan State. So Michigan remains at 5. 4 is Clemson. They were on a bye, and they remain at 4. Up next is a trip to Notre Dame. 3 is Tennessee. They destroyed Kentucky, and now they visit Georgia in a huge game next week. They got back wide receiver Cedric Tillman from an ankle injury. The offense was still elite. The defense was also really good, only allowing 6 points, which is a great sign for Tennessee, as they'd been allowing quite a bit. But they allowed 6 points, which for the second time this season, which is their season low of points allowed. 2 is Ohio State. They are remaining at 2. They used a great fourth quarter to beat Penn State, and they've remained undefeated. We all know Ohio State is a very dangerous offense, but it was their defense that really came up big and led them to the win. On Saturday, they forced 4 turnovers, and they came at crucial times. Ohio State comes in at number 2. And number 1 is Georgia. So they remain at number 1 after a big win over Florida. So they were up 28-3 at the half. They started to blow that lead, and the lead was cut to 28-20. But then they held on for the 42-20 win against the Gators. Up next for Georgia is a massive home showdown against Tennessee. And my updated college football playoff predictions: 1 is the winner of Tennessee against Georgia. 2 is Ohio State. 3 is Clemson. And 4 is the loser of Tennessee against Georgia. So the winner of the Georgia against Tennessee game, I think, will win out and win the SEC championship and finish the season 13-0, obviously before the bowl games and stuff like that. And the loser would be 11-1, and I think they would get the 4th playoff spot over a 1-loss Michigan team, whose loss would be to Ohio State. And obviously, number 2 and number 3 being Clemson and Ohio State, both would be undefeated conference champions. So those are my Week 10 college football rankings and my updated college football playoff predictions. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, turn on notifications so you don't miss any of your upcoming videos. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. I do my best to post as often as possible, and I will see you in the next video.